Hello, hi, welcome to the new video. Here, this is the interview questions asked for DevOps engineer role for 2 years of experience. Okay, I'm going to share responses as well, and there are a variety of questions covered in cloud, Kubernetes, Docker, Ansible, and some scripting questions and some general questions also. Okay, so without further ado, let's enter into the video and have a look at it and discussion. Okay, firstly, started with the general DevOps concepts, where what is the what is DevOps and how does it differs from traditional software development. It is a general question where need to understand what is the DevOps based on the candidate experience. Okay, coming to the response, DevOps is a set of practices that was aimed to automate and integrating the process between the software development and IT operations that will deliver the software uh, through the pipelines. And unlike the traditional deployment, which has some barriers, um, approach between the development as well as the operations, DevOps it will fosters the culture of collaborating between the teams, and it will continuous integrates and continuous delivery should be there, and automation of infrastructure can be easier and also faster and more faster and reliable in deployments. This is the uh, what is I mean basic difference between the traditional as well as the DevOps. And moving to the next question, what is the key difference, sorry, key benefits of implementing DevOps in a organization? Let's say by using DevOps, uh, there is a first of all there is a collaboration and communication should be improved between the development and operations, which that will results in getting a faster and more frequent releases, and it will also ensures the quality of software and it will reduces the deployment failures. It provides a quick rollback in case of any issues, and it will allows you better what we can say scalability and automated infrastructure management. Okay, this is the like a key benefit of implementing DevOps in organization. And moving to the next question, can you explain the CI/CD? Sorry, can you explain the CI/CD pipeline and its importance in DevOps? Basically, the CI/CD pipeline automates the process of building, testing, and deploying the code. Continuous integration. This comes under continuous integration, and that will ensures the code is integrated frequently through a shared repositories. And while continuous deployment, it will ensures that this particular code is automatically deployed into a production after passing all the test cases. The pipeline helps to speed up this particular process where no manual intervention is required, and it will reduces the human errors obviously, and it will delivers a high uh, speed as well as a quality software. Okay, this is the like main importance of DevOps, sorry, CI/CD pipeline in DevOps. And moving to the next questions, the questions regarding the Git as a version control. The first question was, how do you handle a merge request and conflicts in Git? Within the Git, there is a merge request and conflicts will come. How do you handle that? To handle this particularly merge conflicts, uh, we need to first run git pull command, where we will get a latest changes in the repository. If a conflict occurs, we are going to manually edit the files to resolve the to resolve the some discrepancies among them. And after receiving the conflicts, we can stage the changes using a git add and file name, that particular file. Then that will commit them and push them into a repository, centralized repository. Okay, in some cases, if there is any too many conflicts, then we can use a tool like git merge tool, where that will make a resolution easier. Okay, we can resolve that particular issues easier. And moving to the next question, what is the difference between git pull and git fetch? This is frequent question and more important. Okay, so some people might get confusion. Git fetch will basically receive the latest changes from the remote repository, but it doesn't merge them into a local branch wherever the local repository is there. You can get the updates, but how to merge them manually. Okay, on other hand, the git pull is basically it was fetching and merging the changes automatically into in single command itself. So git pull is the shortcut to fetch the integrated changes in one go in a single command. Okay, that is the basic difference between git fetch and git pull. And moving to the next question, how do you revert commit and that has been already pushed into a shared repository? Okay, in this particular case, for reverting commits, as it was a shared repository, and in this case we need to safely undo a commit. We can use a command git revert and commit hash. Each commit, there is a commit hash value. It will be there for git also, and GitLab also it will come, and which that will create a new commit that undoes the changes from the specified commit ID or commit hash based on the commit hash we provided. And if it's a simple case, we can and no one has pulled that particular changes yet, git reset could also work. Git reset, if no one has committed, no one had make any changes, git reset will done the work. And if there is something complex, then git revert and commit hash that will takes to the previous. And moving to the next questions regarding the Jenkins. The first question was, how do you set up a basic CI/CD pipeline in Jenkins? Okay, let's say I wanted to create a Jenkins job, usually freestyle or any pipeline. After setting up it, we are going to connect it to a Git repository using a Git plugin from the manage Jenkins. We will go to the plugins tab. There we will download the plugin, and we are going to define build steps like running unit test cases or Maven build command, git clone, and test cases. Everything which should be defined in the stages, and set a trigger like git webhooks or a poll SCM, where it will triggers a timely based schedules, or else whenever the code commit happens. And that is how finally we will configure a pipeline. The flow should be like this. And later the tools, whatever the continuous integration for a testing purpose. After that, let's say if there is any failure, we can integrate that into a communication channel like email, Slack, like that. And we can also integrate it with the cloud services. This is like basic structure how need to be followed. And moving to the next question, what are the some common plugins you have used in Jenkins? As we know, Jenkins supports like 1800 1800 plus of plugins is there within Jenkins. Okay, and the some common plugins I have used was a Git plugin for integrating the code, source code, Git, and pipeline plugin for defining a complex build pipelines as code, and many tools like SonarCube, Trevi, Snake, Waps, Zap, dependency check, AWS plugin, and Slack notification, email. Many plugins are there. Okay, those are the plugins I have used. And moving to the next question, let's say if you have a Jenkins build, how do you troubleshoot for a Jenkins failed build? If you have a Jenkins failed build, in that particular case, how do you troubleshoot that particular failed build? First of all, we need to go to that particular failed build, and we need to check the logs of that particular build which is generated in the root directory, and also we can go to the console output and check the where exactly it was getting a error. We can run that particular build in a particular step in a debug mode also for getting a more information, and we are also ensure that the environment like dependencies or any system configurations are set correctly and plugins are installed correctly, and um, and one more thing, we are going to test locally that particular script or build before pushing into a pipeline, why because we are getting to know whether is it working in locally or not. And moving to the next further questions regarding the containerization as a Docker as a containerization tool. The first question was, first of all, what is a Docker and how does it differ from virtual machine? Let's say a Docker, we all know it is a one of the containerization platform, and it basically packages your applications and the respective needed dependencies in a isolated manner, where if we see the virtual machines that will host a dedicated dedicated operating system is required, but whereas in Docker containerization there is no dependency of operating system, where it will run in a isolated manner, and there is a lightweight, we can say, and resource intensive, we can say. Okay, and moving to the next question, how do you create a Docker file for a simple application? Okay, for creating a simple Docker file, let's say example Node.js app, first of all we need to write a syntax for that, where it will start a it sets a base image and it copies the application node and install the dependencies, and it will set the default command to start the particular application. The like the form the format should be first of all Docker file karke, Docker file we need to write, and from indicates where it will specify the version of the node, and working directory we need to specify, and copy whatever the dependencies installed, we need to mention the same thing, let's say run npm install, and whatever the command to start npm start, that should be written in the double quotations. This is how a basic Docker application can be written for a simple application. And moving further, what is the purpose of Docker Compose and how do you use it? Basically, Docker Compose is used for running a multiple containers. Okay, which was written in a YAML file dot YML or YAML, and as an example, I have used it for managing enrollments for multiple services need to be worked together, like a web application that depends on a database container. Okay, so here a container dependency is there. In that case, obviously we need to use the concept of Docker Compose. And moving further, these are the some questions regarding the Kubernetes. Let's say there is a two components within the Kubernetes. What is the main difference? The first one was deployment and stateful set within the Kubernetes. Deployment within the Kubernetes is used for stateless applications where all pods are identical and can be replaced without any impact on the application functionality. Okay, as well, whereas stateful set is a one of the function where each and every pod has a unique identity and persistent storage volume is there, and where that will ensures each pod data is retained even if it's recreated. Okay, uh, in short we can say stateful set in the sense it will maintain a history of the pods, and stateless uh, I mean, deployment in the sense it is a stateless application, right? A stateless pod, we can say. In that case, it is not going to maintain any history of the application. Okay, and moving further, what happened when pod crashes in Kubernetes? It is kind of a scenario question or some kind of a practical question. I mean, we need to kind of a troubleshooting mode where we can use a command kubectl logs and pod name. I mean pod name, whatever the pod is crashing, where we can view the logs of the specific pod. If that particular pod has a multiple containers, we would are going to specify the container name using a command called kubectl logs and pod name space hyphen c and container name, where that will give a logs to the specific container, and we can look for the logs. Based on that, we can perform the troubleshooting, further troubleshooting. And moving further, these are the questions from Ansible as a configuration management tool. What is Ansible and how does it work on a DevOps environment? Ansible is basically a one of the sorry, one moment. Yeah, sorry. Coming back, Ansible is basically one of the configuration management tool, which helps to automate the configuration where it runs as a agentless automation by using a YAML script, and there is a playbooks which is defined and executed the whatever the task, such as software installation, some configuration, or some management across multiple missions. It's commonly used for configuration management and continuous delivery purpose by using that playbooks, where a sequence of tasks is executed automatically and some repetitive tasks can be avoided, and no much manual efforts or intervention is required. Okay, agentless, we can say. Okay, and moving further, what sorry, how do you write a Ansible playbook, and does it work in a DevOps? Sorry. How do you write a simple Ansible playbook for installing a package? Okay, here it kind of a practical approach where we need to write a YAML file. For this, we need to know the syntax, how the Groovy syntax is there. Likewise, there is a YAML syntax also. Okay, like we need to start with hyphen letter name, hyphen space name semicolon space whatever the service we need to install. Let's say Nginx package we need to install Nginx, install Nginx, the name should be, I mean whatever the name we can give, and hosts as all, and it will install whatever the node specified in that particular YAML, and become it should be written as, I mean, these are in the sequence manner. Okay, before that, like dash will be keeping, become after semicolon, then s become means it will become a pseudo user. Then task we need to specify, under that name of the task we need to read, and under that apt, in that we need to write a name, whatever the service we need to install Nginx, and state as present. Okay, basically this playbook uses apt module to install the Nginx on all the nodes specified in the playbook. Okay, this is how we need to write a playbook. And moving to the next question, what are the Ansible roles and why they are useful? Okay, in Ansible, roles are the way for organizing tasks. I mean, sorry. Ansible roles is basically a kind of way for organizing the tasks, variables, and templates into a reusable components. They are helpful for keeping the playbooks clean and modular, and they will allow you to reduce a common tasks. Let's say example, we need to install web server across multiple playbooks or multiple projects. In this particular case, Ansible roles is helpful. Okay, and moving to the further question, which is regarding the questions into cloud AWS. Okay, the first question was what is AWS services? Sorry, what are the AWS services have you used in a DevOps context? As I have experience on EC2 for providing of virtual machines, S3 for storing backups and artifacts, EKS for Kubernetes orchestration part, and IAM, identity and access management, for managing access controls. And I have also worked with the cloud pipeline, code pipeline, CloudWatch also, and CloudWatch, where we are going to monitor the like services, and code pipeline, where we can automate the CI/CD workflows, and yeah, and Lambda functions also, where we can use serverless Lambda functions, and for auto scaling purpose and all. And moving to the next question, how do you set up a CI/CD pipeline using a code pipeline? The next questions was regarding the first question follow up, whatever the services I have used. Yeah, for this, let's say if I wanted to create a pipeline within the AWS code pipeline, we need to connect to a source code, let's say Git as a repository, and then we need to build that particular code. Okay, later we need to deploy that particular code. First of all, source code we need to connect, later that we need to build that, and we need to deploy that into a targeted environment. We can push we can pull the code by using a command, and we can build, and there is a dedicated commands we are going to use, and based on the task we need to achieve, or any tool scanning is performing, we can test that and build that and deploy into a targeted environment. So that is how the basic idea how we are going to work on that. And what is the difference between EBS and EKS? EBS and S3, sorry, not EKS. What is the difference between EBS and S3 in AWS? EBS, in the sense, elastic block storage. It is a block level storage where service is typically used with EC2 instances, and by providing a persistent storage volumes that can be attached to a instance, that is basically a EBS, elastic block storage, whereas S3, which is a simple storage service, it is a object storage where the services that highly scalable and typically used for storing backups, media files, and other large data sets. That doesn't require file systems, right? So we can, in that case, we can opt for S3 storage. This is the basically difference, but for that. And moving to the further scripting and automation regarding, let's say you wanted to write a script to check whether the service is up and running or not. If the service is up and running, we need to print a message like service is up and running, particular service. If it is not, we need to restart that particular service. Okay. This is a shell script where we are going to define, it will start with bash and hash service equals to, let's say, Nginx as a service we need to check, or Apache Tomcat, anything. Within the service equals to, in the double quotations, we need to specify the service. We need to write a if condition. If systemctl, status dollar service, where it was referring to the service which specifying as a Nginx or Apache. Let's say consider Apache Tomcat, and we need to specify or in the sense pipe symbol we need to specify. And one pipe symbol indicates and both that particular service, if it is running pipe grep -q and running, we need to specify. And let's say if it is running, we need to print echo service is running. Else block, we need to specify that particular service is not running, and then we need to restart that particular service, right? For that, systemctl restart and dollar service, whatever the above we have specified, that to be specified here, and ends with fi. This is how a service need to be checked, and we need to restart if the service is not up and running. And moving to the further, how can we automate a repetitive task using a DevOps workflow? Basically, for automating a repetitive task, we can create a script by using Python, and we can use a PowerShell, as well as we can use what we can say. And also we can specify a .yml script where that will specify, let's say, if consider as a Ansible as a playbook, where the sequence of steps is written in that. Okay, this is the lot of ways by using, let's say, if Jenkins we are using, we are writing the script in a Groovy script, and let's say if it is GitLab, we are going to write in a .yml. There are many ways for automating a repetitive task, and where we can reduce the manual intervention in the flow. Okay, and moving further, monitoring and troubleshooting part, these are the questions. The first question was, let's say there is a DevOps workflow is there. How do you monitor and troubleshoot if there is a some error is coming, or some service failure is happening? As we know, there is a tools called Prometheus as well as Grafana, where Prometheus is going to collect the metrics or the logs from the services, whatever the getting failed, and Grafana is going to represent that particular metrics and logs in a visualized manner, where we can use elastic log stack, ELK stack, we can say elastic log Elasticsearch log stack and Kibana for logging and analyzing the logs, where it will helps troubleshooting in a production issues or any environment. Okay, and moving further, how do you troubleshoot a let's say if application is not, I mean, faster. Let's say if application is slow in the production level, in that particular case, we are going to start the checking of application logs, and we are going to use uh, command to check the CPU and metrics memory utilization of the server. And we can use we can set up a limits of the uh, system components like memory, network, or else some CPU utilization. We can adjust the infrastructure provisioning by using auto scaling as a service, where that is going to provide, let's say if there is a one threshold listed, and that is going to automatically provide the infrastructure once that particular threshold met. Okay. And these are the some troubleshooting steps we can follow if the application is down in the like production level. And these are the some scenario based questions. Let's say there is a deployment failure is happened in the production level. In that case, how can you handle that particular situation? First of all, we need to roll back to the last successful deployment, where after that we are going to analyze the logs and identify the what is the root cause of the failure, and where exactly the application bug is happening. Is there any internal bug or some infrastructure issues? And once we identified any issue, we would supposed to fix that issue and redeploy after testing is done in the particular deployment. Okay. And the next question was, how do you migrate an application from an virtual machine to a containerization containerization? Containerization is basically using of Docker and Kubernetes environment. First of all, we need to create a Docker file for deploying the containerized application, and then we are going to test the application locally in a container. After that, we can deploy into the container orchestration platform, especially Kubernetes, and for handling auto scaling capability, that might be very helpful. Based on our use case, we can proceed. Okay. And that is how basically we can containerize the application which is currently virtualized. And the next question was, your team reports a pipeline taking a too much long time, and in that particular case, what you do for troubleshooting purpose? First of all, we are going to check the stages of the pipeline to exactly identify what exactly happening in each and every stage. Let's say if the issue, or else if the build time, or else the run time is taking too much in the build stage, then we can parallelize certain steps, and whenever that particular build step is happening, sequentially other scans also, like a SAST scan, ACA, secret detection, that can be done before the build step itself, or else along with the build step. So we can, in that case, we can parallelize certain this kind of steps for optimizing the dependencies. This is a best practice. And if there is issue, we are going to check exactly the logs, and there is a dedicated mode of pipeline mode, where we can check the each and every stage, how much time it was taking, and console output mode we need to check, like it will get a certain logs also. If it was taking too much of time, or else if it was stuck or stopped due to the insufficient what we can say dependencies or complexities. Okay, and yeah, this is how we can streamline the process. And moving further, these are the behavioral questions where these are some end talk. Let's say uh, you have worked as a DevOps engineer, and obviously you came across some time where you automated a manual process, and what is the outcome if you automated? As in my previous role, I automated the deployment of a web application using a Jenkins and Docker. Before, the process involved a manual steps that took several hours, and after the automation, that deployment time was reduced to under 10 minutes by improvising the efficiency. I mean, that will improvises the error efficiency and reduces the errors and manual intervention. Okay, and moving further, how do you handle the situation where how do you handle the situation where your team member disagrees with the approach you in the specific DevOps task? Obviously, in that particular case, we can start listening to their approach first and their concerns or any discussion is there, like in person or virtual, I mean one-to-one discussion. I will prefer. Later, I believe in the collaboration, and I would present my reasoning and show how it aligns with the best practices with that particular thing. And if needed, I'm open to compromise my thought and finding, or I mean, if I found that particular person's opinion or idea is best fits for the particular team, I mean entire team. By considering entire team, I will definitely uh, proceed accordingly. Okay, and these are some pretty good questions. I hope so you got certain idea from these particular things, and stay tuned for more videos. If you have any further questions or need any clarifications, please let me know, and I'm ready to take feedbacks. And stay tuned for more videos. Thank you. And also one more thing I forgot to tell, I will be providing the list of all these questions in the description. Kindly check. If you want, you can take it and prepare accordingly as per your experience and skill set. Okay, and stay tuned for more videos. Don't forget to hit like and share. If your or else if your friend or colleague in the space of this particular thing, definitely do consider sharing. Okay, thank you.